They say every queen needs her crown, her kingdom, and a king who knows how to protect both. But what happens when that king steps out of line, publicly? What happens when whispers become headlines and a woman who built an empire on grace, talent, and silence gets dragged into a spectacle she never asked for? Jennifer Hudson, an EGOT-winning powerhouse who turned tragedy into triumph and built her name into a brand bigger than most could dream, now finds herself at the center of a scandal that's got the industry buzzing and fans choosing sides. And the man at the center of it all? Common, rapper, actor, and a man who just might have played himself out of the best thing that ever happened to him. Because while he was out here giving podcast sermons on alignment and equal yoke, the streets were talking. Photos surfaced, blinds dropped, and Jennifer? She didn't need to say a word. Her silence spoke louder than any post, interview, or diss track ever could. But don't get it twisted. This isn't just another celebrity love story gone sideways. This is about image, control, betrayal, and what happens when a private queen gets publicly humiliated. You think you know the story? You've only scratched the surface, because the receipts, they're deeper than you think. And the truth? It might just leave you speechless. Let's get into it. At first glance, everything looked picture perfect. Common sat on the Mama I Made It podcast, beaming with pride, talking about Jennifer Hudson like she was heaven sent. One of the greatest blessings of my life, he called her. His tone thick with admiration, his words carefully laced with reverence. He painted a portrait of a divine partnership, two souls aligned, equally yoked, anchored in love and mutual respect. It was poetic, sure, but to some, it also felt off. Because if you listened closely, beneath all the flattery and soulful compliments, there was something subtle happening. It wasn't "we're in love," it was "look how much I've grown to deserve her." Instead of celebrating a shared bond, Common's words started to sound like a flex, as if being with Jennifer was another achievement, another accolade to stack beside his Grammy and Oscar. And fans picked up on it. Comments poured in. Why does this sound like a PR move? Or, he's making this all about him. Meanwhile, Jennifer was taking a completely different approach. No glowing podcast monologues, no headline-grabbing declarations, just small, measured words. At the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival, she casually referred to him as "that man of mine." A single phrase, no fanfare, no over-the-top romance, just enough to let people know there was something, but not everything. That contrast didn't go unnoticed. While Common was spinning golden narratives in public, Jennifer was retreating into privacy. And it made people wonder, was this a love story in harmony, or two people living on different frequencies? Because the truth is, real happy places don't need stage lights. They don't require microphones or interviews or carefully crafted sound bites. They exist in silence, in trust, in authenticity. And as more eyes turned toward their relationship, the shine on that happy place started to look more like a carefully polished illusion. While Common was out here preaching partnership and praising Jennifer like she was his spiritual trophy, Jen herself moved with a kind of silence that only real power knows how to wield. She didn't need to do interviews shouting about her love life. She didn't need to be seen everywhere with a man on her arm. She let her career do the talking. Her voice, her platform, her name, those were loud enough. See, Jennifer Hudson has always been a woman who plays the long game. Ever since she broke hearts and blew minds on American Idol, she's carved a path built not on tabloid drama, but undeniable talent. After enduring unimaginable personal loss, she rose again and again. So when she found love, or something close to it, she didn't make it her storyline. She made it a quiet footnote. But behind the scenes, whispers started to surface. industry insiders were saying Jennifer wasn't all that comfortable with how her relationship with Common was being used for his narrative. According to those close to her team, Jen preferred to keep things private. Real love, she believed, doesn't need to be performance art. She didn't sign up to be part of anyone's rebranding strategy. And yet, every time Common talked about the relationship, it felt like a press release. He gushed about alignment, connection, soulfulness, all the right words, all wrapped in a neat, camera-ready package. But while he was giving the world a show, Jennifer was doing something far more powerful. She was building. Her talk show was taking off. Her reputation as a daytime TV queen was becoming solid gold. She was hosting, performing, producing, moving through rooms that Common simply couldn't access the same way. And while he leaned into their relationship for visibility, she leaned out. Subtly, deliberately. That kind of energy, it doesn't scream. It doesn't beg for attention. It moves differently. And when a woman like Jennifer Hudson goes quiet, you don't relax. You pay attention. Because silence is never empty. Sometimes it's just the calm before the storm. They say betrayal doesn't always come with a warning. Sometimes it walks in the room smiling, arms around someone new, while the cameras aren't rolling, but the eyes never stop watching. That's exactly what went down the night of the post-Grammy afterparty at Delilah's in Los Angeles. An elite invite-only scene packed with music moguls, models, and media insiders. And somewhere in the corner of that velvet-draped lounge, Common was seen getting way too comfortable with someone who definitely wasn't Jennifer Hudson. Now, there's no TMZ video, no leaked photos, but what Delilah's lacked in footage, it made up for in mouths that couldn't stay shut. Witnesses say Common was spotted in a booth, arm wrapped around a statuesque woman, a tall model type, long legs, long hair, laughing into his ear like they'd known each other for more than a few hours. They weren't hiding, not even a little. If anything, they were floating in that dangerous zone between reckless confidence and straight-up indifference. And Jennifer, she wasn't there. In fact, she wasn't even told. Sources say she didn't find out from Common. Not a text, not a call, not even a heads up. She found out the same way the rest of us did, through whispers, through screens, through smoke and speculation. For most celebrities, that kind of gossip would have been brushed off. Oh, it's nothing. It's just industry talk. But for Jennifer, it hit different because this wasn't just some random rumor. This was about trust, privacy, respect. And in a world where your public image is your currency, being blindsided like that wasn't just personal, it was professional. Jennifer had worked too hard, kept too quiet, and given too much to be treated like a headline, especially by someone who had just gone on record calling her one of the most important people in his life. You don't call someone your greatest blessing one week and then ends up entangled in whispers the next. That night at Delilah's, it didn't just expose a moment, it exposed a mindset. And whether Common realized it or not, he wasn't just entertaining a new woman, he was unraveling the one thing Jennifer Hudson values more than love, her peace. Just when it seemed like the drama had reached its peak, the internet did what it does best. It started digging. And what surfaced wasn't just messy, it was surgical. A few days after the Delilah's sighting, a blind item dropped that had fans spinning. A well-known rapper who recently gushed about his superstar girlfriend on a popular podcast was seen getting close with someone connected to her own team. Wait, what? Not just a new woman, not just a model, but someone from Jennifer's inner circle? If true, that changes everything, because this wasn't just a lapse in loyalty, it was a betrayal on two fronts. It's one thing to get caught in public with someone new, It's another to get caught with someone who shares hallways with the woman you're supposed to love. Whispers started swirling. Was the mystery woman a stylist on set? A producer's assistant? A friend of a friend who had access to Jennifer's professional world? Nobody confirmed the details, but the smoke was too thick to ignore. And for fans, it was clear something deeper had snapped. For Jennifer, who has always been meticulous about who she surrounds herself with, professionally and personally, this was the ultimate violation. To have your partner step out is painful, but to have him do it with someone who sits within reach of your dreams, your business, your brand, that's calculated chaos. Business, your brand, that's calculated chaos. And the worst part, Common stayed quiet. Not a denial, not a clarification, just silence. While the internet pieced together clues like detectives on a mission, he vanished from the spotlight, letting the narrative take shape without lifting a finger to steer it. Jennifer, on the other hand, didn't need to say a word. Her next few moves spoke volumes. More focused talk show segments, sharper interviews, carefully curated social media posts that oozed elegance and composure. No messy clapbacks, no subtweets, just the energy of a woman who'd already decided to walk away from the table and take the whole damn meal with her. Because here's the thing about betrayal from the inside. It doesn't just hurt, it humiliates it. It's intimate, it's targeted. And when it happens to a woman who built her empire with dignity, faith, and discipline, it becomes more than gossip. It becomes war. And Jennifer, she wasn't about to fight it loud. She was about to fight it smart. Sometimes the loudest move is no move at all. No post, no comment, no press statement. Just quiet composure and total control. That's exactly how Jennifer Hudson responded to the firestorm around Common and his alleged betrayal. While fans were waiting for her to spill tea or confirm the split, Jennifer did what only the most strategic women do. She let her silence become the headline. There was no messy Instagram live, no public dragging, no call-outs on daytime TV. She didn't flinch. And in doing so, she shifted the entire narrative in her favor. Because while Common faded into the background, Jennifer stepped forward without saying a single word about the drama. Her focus, her show, her career, her craft. She hosted episodes with grace, laughed with her guests, hit notes that reminded the world why she's untouchable, and moved through the industry with the energy of a woman too powerful to be rattled. But behind the scenes, the message was crystal clear. Jennifer's team tightened up. Interviews were more selective. Media appearances became more curated. She wasn't just managing a breakup, she was managing a brand. And she knew how dangerous it could be if her personal life spilled into the public arena without her consent. Because in Hollywood, especially when you're a Black woman with an EGOT and your own talk show, any sign of chaos can cost you opportunities. And Jennifer wasn't about to lose a single one. Meanwhile, comments started to vanish. No new interviews, no podcast appearances, no sightings. And for a man who once seemed to bask in the spotlight of being with Jennifer, his silence now looked less like grace and more like guilt. Brands reportedly began keeping tabs on the situation, especially those with ties to Jennifer's show. Why? Because no one wants their name attached to a narrative where they back the wrong star. And that's the real power move here. Jennifer didn't clap back with words. She clapped back with results. Her ratings didn't dip, they soared. Her network support didn't waver, it strengthened. Every episode she hosted became proof that she didn't need drama to thrive. In fact, she used the drama as fuel to remind everyone that while Common may have fumbled a woman, Jennifer was busy running a media empire. While he leaned into love for relevance, she leaned out and came back stronger. That's the thing about silent dominance. It's unsettling. It leaves the other person scrambling, unsure if they're being ignored, outplayed, or both. And in this case, it was both. In Hollywood, perception is everything. And when the dust started to settle, it was clear. Common didn't just lose a relationship, he lost the narrative. Because while Jennifer Hudson rose above the drama with grace and quiet resilience, the internet had already made up its mind. And Common? He was the villain in the story everyone wanted to tell. Social media lit up with commentary, threads, think pieces, TikToks, and reaction videos, all dissecting every word, every photo, every moment of the relationship. Users began pulling receipts from past interviews, moments where Common had gushed about Jennifer, and comparing them to the recent silence. The consensus? He used her glow to elevate himself, and then dimmed hers in the process. People started connecting the dots, not just about Jennifer, but about Common's pattern. This wasn't the first time he had praised a woman publicly, only to let things fall apart quietly. His past relationships with Serena Williams, Erykah Badu, Angela Rye, each had started with the same poetic passion and each ended with the same ambiguous fade-out. Fans weren't just talking about the Jennifer Hudson situation anymore, they were painting a bigger picture. A pattern of a man who seems to love the idea of powerful women until their shine becomes too bright. And this time, it stung more, because Jennifer wasn't just another celebrity girlfriend. She's an icon, an EGOT-winner, a symbol of perseverance and success. So when fans saw her caught in the middle of gossip, speculation, and potential betrayal, they didn't just see a messy breakup. They saw a woman being disrespected after building herself up from unimaginable loss and pain. The hashtag started trending. Hashtag protect Jennifer. Hashtag Common fumbled. Hashtag silent queen. And suddenly, Common wasn't the soulful poet anymore. He was the guy who let history repeat itself again. Even the media turned cautious. Outlets began reporting on Jennifer's wins, her talk show guests, her awards, her philanthropic work, while skimming over Common's contributions. His name started slipping further down the headlines. He wasn't Common, the conscious king. He was Common, the man who might have let go of the realest woman he ever had. Because in the court of public opinion, you don't need a verdict. You just need a vibe. And the vibe was clear. Jennifer won the breakup. Not with shade, not with subtext, but with silence, grace, and strategy. And Common? He became a lesson. A reminder that no matter how smooth your voice is, how poetic your words sound, or how many deep thoughts you share on a podcast, if your actions don't align, the world will call you out. And worse, they'll move on without you. In stories like this, you expect closure, a breakup announcement, a dramatic interview, a red carpet moment that says, yes, it's over. But with Jennifer Hudson and Common, that moment never came, and that's what makes it all the more powerful. Because in the absence of a final statement, every move they make now carries weight. Every silence is loud. Every post is a clue. Every appearance or lack of one is a headline waiting to happen. And that's exactly where things stand, in limbo. No one have confirmed a split. No one's denied the rumors either. It's a masterclass in mystery, where neither party gives the audience what they crave, yet both keep them hooked. But if you read between the lines, the final move may have already been made. Since the scandal, Jennifer has doubled down on her brand. She's leaned into her show, her music, her platform. She's smiling wider, singing stronger, and letting her wins speak for themselves. No shade, no bitterness, just elevation. She's showing the world what it looks like when a woman decides her piece is more important than proving a point. Meanwhile, Common has disappeared from the public stage. His usual charm, the candid conversations, the media rounds, they've all gone quiet. And for a man known for being transparent and vocal, that silence feels loud. It feels like retreat. It feels like consequence. But perhaps the biggest twist came not in what they said, but in what surfaced next. A blind item, one more, because apparently Hollywood can't help itself, suggested that Common's new boo wasn't just someone close to Jennifer, but someone allegedly connected to the production team of her talk show. If true, this isn't just scandal. This is chess, a betrayal that cuts through business, personal, and public spaces. A move that turns whispers into wildfire. Suddenly, every eye is back on Jennifer, not to see if she'll break down, but to see how she'll bounce back. And she's not just surviving, she's thriving. Sponsorships flowing, ratings steady, audience loyalty stronger than ever. She's proved that grace under fire is the most dangerous power move of all. As for Common, he may still have his poetry, his bars, and his following, but what he doesn't seem to have anymore is the benefit of the doubt. Not from the public, not from the fans, and definitely not from the woman he once called his greatest blessing. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't just a breakup. It was a battle between visibility and value, between saying the right things and doing the right things. And Jennifer Hudson, she chose value. She chose silence. And in doing so, she won a game most people don't even know they're playing. So, are they really done? Is this the end of Jennifer and Common? Or just a cleverly managed PR storm waiting to die down? That's for you to decide. But one thing's for sure. If Common thought this story would fade quietly, he underestimated the power of a woman who doesn't need to speak to be heard.